Welcome to another episode of DD on the Spot. As always, I'm your host, Ryan Johnson. And before we get into it with our guests here today, I'd like to remind everyone that if you enjoy this content, to please give a like and subscribe down below. I'd greatly appreciate it. We have Elizabeth Babcock on the podcast. She's coming to us all the way from Illinois. She's a bodybuilder on here to share her health and fitness journey and talk all things bodybuilding. And, also just, talk all things health and fitness as well. But most importantly, she's our current guest. Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me, Ryan.
Well, I gotta ask first of all, because I love to torture myself. What is the weather like in Illinois today?
It's actually really, really nice today. It is 61 and sunny. So after this, I'm going to enjoy the day.
Okay, I do gotta realize though that as soon as you mentioned that you were from Illinois right before we started recording this podcast, as soon as I heard you talk right now, I picked up the Illinois accent just a little bit. I finally did, like
Okay.
the Chicago-ish accent.
I don't know what this accent is, but I've been getting that a lot. I
Yeah.
just traveled to Arizona for my show. And they're like, "Oh, I hear the accent." I'm like, "What is this accent that you guys are talking about?"
It's the A's is what it is. Like but like it's just with Minnesotan too, where my O's are really, really pronounced. So that's how you can tell that I'm usually from Minnesota. That's how. But yeah,
Okay.
as soon as you
Yes.
as soon as you talk for like extended, I was like, oh wait, yeah, she is from around Chicago-ish area. Like, cause that it's just that I've had a few guests on, yeah, and I can tell, yeah. As soon as you said I was from Illinois, I was like, oh yeah, now I can. That kind of makes
I'm
some
literally
sense.
only 30 minutes from Chicago,
Yeah.
so I mean,
Yeah, that's
I
well,
I'll
hey,
take it. I'll take
hey,
it.
hey, yeah, absolutely. But before we get into accents, because I mean that's a whole rabbit hole that's going to take up 10 hours of a podcast just hearing me say words that people are just interested for me to say.
Dying to hear.
Yeah, why don't you give us your backstory and what really inspired and motivated you to get in shape and how that led to you becoming a bodybuilder?
All right. So I am 23 right now, and I started lifting weights my sophomore year of high school. And I feel any little little that time has no idea what they're doing. So I would go to our school gym and, bounce around machine and machine and machine. I did have that cardio phase that, everybody has, like, oh, let's run 10 miles, let's try to get as many steps on the Stairmaster as possible. Um, but I did some sports in high school as well. I did basketball, and I did have a lot of other coaches reach out. Here, let's try softball, let's try soccer. And I'm like, I don't do sports. I never grew up doing sports. I lived with, 7 other siblings. So if we all did sports, like, it just wasn't happening. That's way too much money. So I just got into lifting. It was free. Our gym was free. So that's what I kind of go ahead and did. And I actually didn't get a gym membership until I worked at a gym. So I was like, I'm not paying an extra 20, $30 to not know what I'm doing. So finally worked at a gym, and, everybody does their people watching. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me go ahead, try this, try this, try this. And then, I feel like you really get into fitness when somebody guides you. So I had a boyfriend to guide me. And that's kind of how that first started, is just like, all right, let's work out together. And I wasn't that annoying girl, like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Like, no, I always had that passion, like, no, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let me keep up. Um, and that's how it really all started.
So, at what point in your journey did you decide, like, hey, bodybuilding, that seems interesting. Maybe that's something I want to dip my toes in?
So I actually thought bodybuilding was the dumbest thing ever. I give props to literally everybody. I had so many of my managers, my coworkers, they're like, Beth, you have such the determination, like the discipline, go do a show. Like, I didn't eat out, like, I don't drink, like, I'm like a chill, boring person almost. But like, I was like, I'm not gonna starve myself, like, absolutely not. But literally in August, I said, let's do a show. And I reached out to a coach and I said, absolutely. So this whole entire time, I thought it was dumb. Like, who wants to, like I said, starve themselves, live off, rice cakes? And now I have a totally different perspective. But literally 7 months ago, I was like, let's do a show. And I did it. So I didn't think about it. I was like, let's just do it. I said, let's run it. And here we are. I have another show in like 6 days. So everybody's like, "Are you kidding me? You never thought about it?" They're like, "You have such a great build, just go ahead and do it." And I said, and here we are.
Did you have any reservations about the sport before you got started? Because I think if you're talking to the general public, there's so many myths about this sport.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I really thought it was living off rice cakes and the bro meals of chicken, broccoli, and rice. And I mean, like I've done that. That's why a lot of my coworkers and everybody else, my friends, was like, "Why don't you try it out?" And I'm like, "I do it because I like it right now. I don't want to be told what to do." So in that case, I was like, "Well, I want a different like change of pace in the gym. I want to work for something now." So at that time, I was like, "Fine, let's be coachable. Somebody tell me what to do. Let's make some changes."
Yeah, absolutely. And that's just a great attitude to have. And when you were getting started working out, I mean, if you were to walk into a gym with 100 people, there's 100 different ways as to how those people got into shape, whether it comes down to their diet, their nutrition, how many reps they do, what exercises they do. So many little things add up to that overall package that people end up seeing. And what was that experience like for you? Because if you were to walk up to someone and say, like, "Hey, what'd you train for this body part?" What works best for them 99% of the time isn't going to work as good for you.
Right. So literally everybody's different. So I'm a coach myself, and it's, you know, I've been training a lot of my clients for a year, so I know what works best for them. But you're absolutely right, Ryan. Everybody is different. So people like, as far as people want to give out like challenges and do all that stuff. So I actually just did one myself, and I'm getting a lot of feedback and stuff, and I'm like, "You know what? You're going to make those mistakes." And it's like, "Okay, I almost don't want to do another challenge because you're right. Everything is different for every single person." You know. So in that case, like I have to fully evaluate that person. I wouldn't tell them, like, "Oh, go do this, go do that." It's different for each and everybody.
Well, and that's what a thing a lot of people struggle with because they're like, "Oh, if I did just exactly what she does, I should look just like her." And it's like, "No, you idiot. That's not how this works." But
Absolutely not. No.
but on top of that, I mean, I love to talk genetics on this podcast because with everyone on social media, I hear this all the time. "Oh my God, I want his arms, I want her abs, I want their back." And it's just like, I almost want to just shake that person down and be like, "You do not understand how they got to that look." Some people are just born genetic freaks where, let's be honest, they were born with a
Yeah,
12 pack out of the womb.
some people.
I've had 2 of them on this podcast where I'm literally just like, "Get the hell off my podcast. I don't wanna see your face ever again." Like, they could I mean, I still have I have a friend of mine who's kinda like that, where he could have 10 Snickers bars a day, and he's not gonna put on an ounce of fat, and it's just like, "Dude, screw you." Just I
Just
hate you, but
buy, don't want to
just buy. It's like,
communicate
come
with you
on. It's like,
anymore.
yeah,
Right.
it's ridiculous, but on top of that, whenever someone first gets started working out, they always have that one body part that really, really takes off that they don't have to train as much, and they have that one body part that really, really drags behind that they have to basically train to oblivion to get it to catch up. What were those body parts for you when you were getting started?
So I would say my back and shoulders, I didn't have to, or my back. So I did do a lot of shoulders now, but like I get a lot of compliments on my back. They're like, "Oh my God, what do you do?" Blah, blah, blah. And, it's a lot of pull ups to be honest. But my back, I feel like I didn't have to train as hard. Obviously, I did. But the one that I know I have to hit a lot more is my glutes. And, that is some feedback that I got from my first show. I need those tie-ins. So definitely in the past 2 weeks, definitely trying to work those just a little bit more. But I'm very proud of my back, and you know, I feel like my quads are looking good. I got my hamstrings. It's really just the glutes, which I feel a lot of girls in the bikini division want those pro glutes, and you're right, we do.
Yeah, those are the same exact answers for me, except for my weakness. It's my entire lower body, just because I am 6'3". So I mean, anything, it's just it's not a fun time. I mean, I've always made the joke that I could inject pure muscle into my legs and they wouldn't gain an ounce. I mean, it's
And
just
they still
it's don't even get
wouldn't.
me started on calves. I mean, I could do 10,000 calf raises a day, and they're not gonna take off. I mean, it's a never ending struggle of misery for me. So, yeah, I totally get what you're saying with that, but I mean, on top of that, so many people don't talk about nutrition, and it's, 80 to 90% of the changes that you're going to see. I
Oh,
mean, I still
absolutely.
have friends to this day who think that they can go eat Burger King, 3 times a week, and, they're not going to put on anything. And I tell them, well, yeah, because we're 25 now, but, call me in 10 years and see what that's like. But what were some of the bigger nutritional changes that you made when you started to take things seriously in bodybuilding?
So yeah, I have like no idea about nutrition. Like I mean, like I said, like the bro meals, I've done it. Your chicken, broccoli, and rice, and all that. But it's so funny. My clients and friends, they're like, "Well, you're a coach. Why do you need a coach?" And I'm like, "Nutrition is a whole different ballpark game." But no, I knew absolutely nothing. So I actually had two coaches. My first coach was meal plans, and my coach now is macros. So I'm very thankful for my first coach because I would have had no idea what I'm doing. So I do a lot of salmon, shrimp, egg whites, ground turkey, and there's another, and protein powder. So those are like a lot of my proteins that I do. Um, and then usually I stick to jasmine rice. Like I don't try to be creative with my meals. I stick to it. So if my macros are changing, it's either up of that one meal or down of that one meal. So I just keep it super clean. But as far as nutrition, it is super hard. And like you said, Ryan, it is literally like 80 to 90% of, you could make those changes.
Like I've told her before, unfortunately, that is my Achilles heel. Where it's like, I gotta have my brats and my
The
hot dogs,
burgers
and
and the
say, oh
beer.
my god, yeah, unfortunately, that's a thing. St. Patrick's Day, I suffered greatly on that day.
Oh my
I had to go get
gosh.
my 12 pack of Guinness at the liquor store, obviously. So no, but that's yeah,
See,
and
did you
that's
have the corned beef and cabbage though?
don't even get me started on that. I moved back in with my parents because of coronavirus, and literally yeah, we're gonna have corned beef, cabbage, we're gonna have we're gonna
The
mix potatoes in
potatoes,
there,
the
yeah, we're
carrots.
gonna have the
Yes.
carrots and everything, yeah, and then we're all drinking Guinness. It's like, oh my god, it's like, why are we doing like why are we? I mean, I
See,
get it,
no,
and
I
then yeah,
wish I could have had that. Oh my gosh, my mama makes the best. Oh, and I was like, when I'm done competing, can I have that in like April, May because I miss it.
well, the only thing is that my mom, I think she's distracted by something, so it burnt a little bit. So the smell lingered in our house. Like there's still a whiff of it. There's still a tiny whiff of it. Like even though we've turned all the fans on, we've done everything. There's still a tiny. But yeah, that was an interesting day. But yeah, I mean, now that we got Easter coming up in a couple of weeks, I mean, God, that's another just all the candy. We still get those chocolate bunnies and stuff. So it's like, oh my God, that's
No,
like
see, the Starburst jelly beans is where it's at.
I was just having some like literally right before I talked to you.
There's literally some like right next to me, and I'm just like,
That and the
mm-hmm.
Jolly Rancher jelly beans too.
Yes, yes.
Yes,
See, now we're on the
yes.
same page, Ryan. Absolutely.
But like, yeah, like those 1,000 calorie chocolate bunnies. That's my Achilles heel too.
Yeah,
Where it's
the
just like,
like, yeah,
yeah, it's like
right.
I got to go on
Hmm.
the treadmill then for like an hour and a half after I have that, just to burn it all off, basically.
Just to
So
feel fine. Yeah.
just so I can feel something. But I mean, on top of this, I mean, I always make the comparison that like 95% of the general public wouldn't be able to get into the amount of shape that being on a prep requires because, you got to be in a great amount of shape before you go on a prep. But once you enter a prep, I mean, everything just becomes so psychological and so down pat where, I mean, you got to get all of your workouts in. You got to get all of your nutrition. You got to get the proper amount of sleep. You got to do all of your cardio. I mean, everything just becomes so just scientific and you have to, I mean, it's like you're turning on a switch. What is that adjustment like for you when you go from your non-prep lifestyle,
So,
yeah, to your prep?
yes, I liked having the routine. I liked having the regimen of, so I always do fasted cardio. So I'm waking up at 5 a.m., do my fasted cardio. Me personally, I think fasted cardio works 10 times better. You're already shaking your head, Ryan. Why?
Cardio is my, like, trigger word. I hate it more than life itself. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I was always like stairmaster, stairmaster, and then now I've been doing fasted bike, and I'm like, oh my god, this feels like literally so much better. Like I sweat a lot more. I know it's not about like the calories burned, but like I track everything on my Apple Watch, and I'm burning so many more calories, and like I feel like so much better on the bike. And I used to be like the stairmaster queen. That's what everybody at my gym like called me. Like I had my stairmaster when Beth walks in the gym. I get off the stairmaster, she has to do her cardio. But now it's the bike, and I'm super happy about it. So fasted cardio, and then I do obviously have my job, so I'll coach my clients, and then I do my workout right after I'm already at the gym, and after that I'll do my posing. So I'm already, kind of warmed up, I'm pumped up. That's when I'll go ahead and do my posing, and then after I'll prep some food. I go back to work and then prep some more food. Like I liked that routine. I needed that routine. Um, so in a sense, the reason I really did started to compete is because I needed to keep busy. So I knew this was going to happen. I knew I could do it.
Yeah. Well, no, and absolutely. I mean, and the only other reason I cringe too is because you're getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. I mean, I am a night owl, true and true. So like, I was in bed like at 3:30 last night. So when you texted me like saying like, "Are you ready in like half an hour?" That's what woke me up, and I was like, "Oh yeah, gotta
Oh
get
my
ready,
god,
gotta get
Ryan.
ready now." So yeah. So no, I stay up and I edit these podcasts and stuff like that. So but like yeah, that's why I don't schedule. If it comes to scheduling a podcast, 11 a.m. is the earliest that I ever do. I have done one 10 a.m. one, but that was just because that was a special occasion. But other than that, it's just like, yeah, I can't. But I can get up early. Like I've gotten like this last week twice. I got up at like 8 a.m. So I'm fine with that. But I mean,
I guess that's early, Ryan, 8 AM,
oh, for
as
me,
I'm
yeah.
talking
Well, I
about
no, I have
5.
friends that are teachers too, and that's those poor souls. But no, and well, I also when I'm not. I have been without a job for a couple of months because of coronavirus, but like I used to work
Yes.
nights too then, so that's you just get used to it.
Okay.
So then
Yeah,
it's not like I
right.
did this all by choice. Like I was a little bit of a night owl, but then working nights forced me to like go from going to bed like at midnight or 1 to going to bed at like 2 or 3 really. It just extended it just a little bit where but yeah,
Yeah,
it's
so, I mean, I understand that, like, my schedule, like, this is gonna sound, like, super weird. So, I go at 5 AM and I do, my 45 minutes to an hour, whatever is, protocoled, whatever, and then I don't start work until 9 AM, so I go back home and take an hour nap and then get ready for work. So, I'm like, "Okay, let me finish this cardio, I get to go back to bed, and then I go to work." So, everybody's like, "Why don't you just wake up,
an
cardio
hour
and then
later, yeah.
proceed with your day?" I'm like, "No, I live for that little hour nap again."
See, I'm one of those unlucky people where I can never take a nap. I probably took about a dozen in my life where I just can't. I'll just close my eyes and I won't fall asleep, and that's my nap then. Really, then.
See, no, I'm the type of person, like, put me anywhere, I will fall asleep with my shoes on, like, 15 minutes does me good. If I get anything more, that's great, but, like, I could sleep anywhere.
Oh, that is just so lucky. But when it comes to things that I mean, I would have never guessed in a million years before I really got active in this lifestyle and talking to people is that I would have never guessed in a million years that for so many of these athletes, posing is the hardest thing for them. It's harder than your
Oh, yeah.
nutrition. It's harder than your working out. I mean, I would have never guessed it. I like to compare it now to being a perfect driver where you can be a great driver. You can never be a perfect driver. You can be a great poser. You can never be a perfect poser. It's always ever evolving. What has your experience with posing been like?
So, I have a posing coach, she always says at least 15 minutes per day, so I absolutely do at least 15 minutes. Usually, I'm always doing more at the gym, and I do pose at my gym, so people see me in my heels and all that stuff, and they're like, "Okay, that's posing, let's just stay away from that mirror." Um, but I would suggest getting a posing coach to literally each and every single person. I've seen my posing coach maybe 4 or 5 times, and some people they're like, "Oh my god, Beth, like your posing looks so good. Can you give me some tips?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "What works for me might not work for you." All right, so I literally have my posing coach. Shout out to you, Kate Lane. And so it is very hard, but you literally have to practice it to a T. Don't ever think you have the perfect routine because, like you just said, can't be perfect always, always practice.
There's only one exception to that. I mean, I had Janine Lankowski on, who's a bodybuilder that she's won like perfect poser like 6 years in a row. So she's the one exception to that. But yeah, other than Janine Lankowski, I got to throw that out there. Yeah, you always got to practice. But out of your poses that you do, what is your favorite pose and what is your least favorite pose?
Um, I like my front pose. And I would have to say my back pose is my least favorite one right now, only because I know I need to work on it. But I mean, it is fun getting sassy. Like that's why I like bikini is because like the cute like routine pose.
Is that something that you've always had, like that sassiness that you need to have for bikini? Is that something that you had to develop? Because I find that that's something that you're either born with or it takes a while to develop it.
I mean, I would say like sassy, be confident with it. So I would say that I was like born with it. Thank you. But I mean, always have like the smile on your face and like own it. And I know other competitors, like they'll have like their straight face, like they're really trying to get their like poses to a T. And I'm like, well, have fun with it. Like, obviously, I'm so new to this, but I see other people and I'm like, shine that smile. Like, be like the judges want to see confidence and all that good stuff, all that good charisma.
Well, and that's why I always say, unfortunately, your jaw muscles is probably going to be the most sore thing after these shows because you're going to be smiling the entire time. So just get ready for that because that's why my back pose would probably be my favorite pose if I ever competed because that's the one where you can let your smile down a little bit and just be like, okay, yeah, my jaw muscles can rest for just a second. Absolutely. But when you're walking on that stage, what is that feeling like for you knowing that you've worked months upon months just to achieve this look and it's just such a hard it's a hard dedicated sport and what's that like when you finally get to show off all those results?
So the first time that I stepped on stage, like I said, like you gotta feel confident, you gotta own it, all that stuff. But once I stepped on stage and like seen all those lights, I said, "Oh no." Like, "Oh snap." So, I mean, I still did it, but I was like, "Hey, you're right. I just worked how many months off? Like, I still have to do it." But like initially, so I always wear glasses. I did not wear glasses on stage. I don't have contacts. So I really couldn't even see the judges. I seen them at the table. So in a sense, it wasn't that scary because I couldn't see them. I couldn't make the eye contact with them because I am so blind without them. But no, that first like few times on stage, like the first two times, I'm like, oh snap, oh all right. And then as I kept going on, I'm like, all right, let's go. Like you're already on stage, you already did it. Let's bring it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, on top of that, I mean, you just come off a show where you won, and what is that feeling like for you when they announce your name and you realize, oh my God, I won this thing?
So it was insane to say the least because I wanted to place first in each and every one of my classes. And so my last open class, when I walked off the stage, I wasn't in dead center and I was pissy the entire rest of the day until finals. I was like, all right, I walked off center stage in true novice and novice. And then for open, I wasn't. So I was literally pissy. I was talking to people. They're like, Beth, you have no idea what the outcome is. So stop stressing about it because you're going to bring that to finals and the judges don't want to see that. I'm like, okay, absolutely true. Um, but let alone winning the overall, like I was like, you really said Elizabeth Babcock? Like, are you kidding me? But no, so it just shows that like my coach made a post about it. Don't always assume just because you're dead center or not dead center that you're not going to go ahead and get first. So I was literally pissy the entire rest of the day for no reason because I, walked home or not walked home, I airplaned home with a big trophy.
Oh, I thought your parents were like making you walk home then basically from the show. Just be like, no, no, that's no, 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 but that's
So
awesome.
no, I had to fly home with that trophy. Everybody's like, "Oh my god, what is that for? I have to ask. I have to ask."
Yeah.
So yeah.
What was that like getting that through airport security? That must have been a pain.
I didn't know what to think. I'm like, I really hope they let me take it. Like, I didn't know if it had to be in my bag, but no, they were fine. The TSA, they're like, what was it for? As I'm wearing literally the baggiest sweatpants and a baggy shirt, they're like, wait, you won something? I was like, yeah, I promise I have a better body under all these baggy clothes. But no, I mean, they did have to check it and stuff. I did get stopped for my food, but no, not the trophy.
Yeah, well, your food, yeah, that's one thing that we've heard a lot of as well. But one of the things another myth that I mean I love to talk about because so many people just don't understand that look that you present on stage is not a sustainable look. You're not going to look that way 24/7. Unfortunately, I mean. It's just one of those things that I mean, so many people sometimes when they don't have coaches, they just have that belief and then they try and then it's bad for your health and whatnot. But I mean, you're still in this look because, like you said, you got a show in like 6 days. But what has that been like, sort of like the first time you realized that, like, hey, I'm not going to be able to look like this 24/7? And has that gotten easier for you to accept?
So honestly, yes, because my mama, she's constantly like, Beth, eat, eat, eat. I'm like, Mom, it's coming. I get to eat a burger with you very soon. So like, she literally sees me like, and I mean, I send in my check-ins, and I'm like, I look like skin and bones. So like, I'm honestly very happy that I get to go back, and just knowing that I get to have burgers and fries and pizza and wings and mozzarella sticks and all that, like, it's not getting to my head like people said it would because I like yes, it's cool, but like I know it's only for show day. Like it didn't hit me mentally and I'm very thankful for that because I know it's not sustainable and I know I can't be this all year round And I'm freezing all the time. Like, I'm in this tank top right now. I have goosebumps on me all over, but like I am very happy that I'm going to have body fat on me again so I don't have to wear 10 jackets. And like, yes, it's cool that I transform my body like this in many months, but I mean, like I said, it's full to me that it's not sustainable. It's as easy as that.
That's why anytime I have a bodybuilder on from the Midwest who competes actually like during the winter, I was like, "Oh, you poor thing! Like, what is wrong with you? Like, what do you like? What are you doing that for? You should wait until the last snow falls and then you wait about a month to get in shape."
I
Then,
wish
yeah.
I did. I wish I did because at work, obviously, I have my uniform as I'm having like 5 jackets on. And I'm very thankful I am a coach, so I could literally wear, sweatpants and a hoodie. But no, it was rough.
Yeah, I mean that's just that cold. I mean, it's like it just makes this sport
Yeah,
even so much
especially
harder.
Illinois weather. It's just unmatchable.
It's not a fun time at all. But also when it comes to this, I mean, the fact that this is just such a sort of taboo sort of lifestyle for so many people. What was your friends and family's reaction like when you announced them like, "Hey, I want to give bodybuilding a try," because I don't think that's something that a normal, young woman would tell their parents.
So yeah, my first day of tracking my like meal plan and stuff. So I actually like hated fish. I think anything in the sea needs to stay in the sea. But my coach was like, no, if you're gonna do this, you need to start liking fish or not like it and just suffer through it. But so a lot of salmon and shrimp I hated. And my first day, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Screw this. But I still did it. And now I'm down to a T. But my family, once they seen me that first day, they're like, she's not going to last. And I'm like, let's see what I could do. So I always wanted to prove to my family that I'm like, no, I'm doing this. Like it's set. But like I said, my mama, she wants me to eat more. She doesn't like seeing me this tiny. Um, but I have a great support system, family and friends. I keep it very small. If somebody didn't like my lifestyle, bye. I'm not going to let that bring me down. Like I said, keep it small and everybody supports me through it.
And that is awesome because we've heard so many times that the more supportive it is, the more a little bit it just makes it just a tad bit easier in this lifestyle. And anything that you can do to make it just a little bit easier, I think really does help. But now we got to get into COVID because I mean that's been something that's impacted our lives in more ways than we could ever imagine, especially bodybuilders. Because I mean, as soon as those gyms shut down, I was like, oh my god, that's these bodybuilders, that's the bodybuilding heroin basically. So it's like, how are these guys getting going without getting their fix then? So what was this whole journey? What was this whole pandemic like for you, especially being a bodybuilder?
So I didn't actually start like competing and since August. Gyms closed in March, whatever. Um, but I actually, since I'm a coach, once again, I had to coach still my clients through FaceTime, Skype, Zoom, whatever. So I was literally doing workouts with them. They were like cardio based workouts, but I mean, I have weights at home. And since I am a employee of a gym, I did get to take some equipment home. So I really lucked out. So yes, I know a lot of people are like, "Oh my god, where are you getting all this equipment from?" And I'm like, "I can't tell you as my boss let me take some equipment home." So I lucked out. I was
They really couldn't put the two and two together. Be like, oh, she works for a gym and she's getting all this gym equipment. Like, oh, yeah.
So they did put the two together, but I physically could not say like, "Oh yeah, my," because then they're gonna be like, "Well, why can't I?" And it's like, okay, well, you don't work for the gym.
No, I literally
But no, I lucked out.
the second time that the gyms got shut down here, I literally was getting texts from friends just being like, "Oh, do you have any extra like equipment and stuff like that?" So I was like giving out like dumbbells to people and stuff. So yeah, it's just been a whole thing here. But were there any? Did you have to deal with any of the meat shortages that we had to deal with up here? Was that a thing when the pandemic first started?
No, not really. Like I said, I still did like a lot of like outside workouts as far as like at that time, like I didn't care about, not that I didn't care about nutrition. I just wasn't in depth with it. So I was still eating whatever. I wasn't fully engaged in my nutrition just yet. And that's very unfortunate that you guys went through that because we didn't.
Well, I live close to farm country. I mean, I'm in Bloomington, where the Mall of America is, but I mean, we're closer-ish to farm country. So anytime something like that happens, it's. But luckily, I had a neighbor who's a big deer hunter, so he had like hundreds of pounds of deer venison. So I just go over there whenever I needed some meat, and he just throw it over to me. So yeah, yeah.
It's been a while since I've had deer, but I know at Christmas time, like, my family goes hunting and stuff, and they put out, like, sausages and cheese and stuff, and every time there's somebody like, "What is this meat? Like, it tastes so good," and when we tell them that it's deer, they're like, "Ew," and I'm like, "You clearly liked it." I think deer is super good.
Yeah, I mean it's yeah, I mean I had a grandpa who used to run a grocery store, but then he'd also do deer venison on the side. He'd make his own, so that was yeah, that's what got me hooked on it when I was younger. But I mean, also with just everything that's been going on, I like to bring up the fact that sport is so much more of a mental sport than it is a physical sport. It's not talked about, and I really think it should be, is because most people are going to notice the physical changes, and they're going to be like, oh my god, Elizabeth, you look so amazing, but they're not going to realize that mental transformation that's taking place as well, and that's 100 times more important than the physical changes. But what has this all been like for you mentally, just this journey into this sport? Because I mean, it requires so much more dedication than I think a lot of people understand.
Yes, indeed it does, and it to me, like, I literally have the word determined on my wrist, so I see it with
In case you
literally
forget.
everything. In case I forget. So literally with whatever I'm doing, like, okay, grabbing this water bottle, like if I'm typing or like if I'm on my phone, like I'm seeing that with everything that I do. So it's like, all right, stop being lazy, go ahead and go be determined with something, whatever you are doing. But as far as like mentally, like I definitely am a crab ass a lot of the time. And I really try not to take that out on people, but sometimes it does happen and they're like, "Okay, she's prepping," like and like I said, I like all my food. I just named 5 different proteins and stuff. So it's not, like, hard to, like, keep that mentality like, "Oh, I'm eating the same food." Like, no, I like my food. Like, after all of this, I'm still going to keep with all this good food.
Well, speaking of tattoos, I see that you got one right there. Which one? What does that say?
Okay, so this is my parents' handwriting. Love you, Skyfuls. And XOXO, and you're like, what the heck is Skyfuls? So instead of to infinity and beyond, everybody says that. You're eye rolling. So ever since I was young, me and my family, we say Skyfuls. Like, I don't know, it's super weird. Every time somebody they give me that look. So that's my dad handwriting, and then my mom's is in the XOXO. And you see my crappy spray tan that's still on from
Well,
last show.
just the scientist in me is like, well, what if you leave the Earth's atmosphere? Then you're not in the sky anymore. I mean, you're in space, so that's kind of limited love right there. If I'm talking,
I mean, yeah, I guess you got me there,
I
but I
guess
don't think I'm gonna leave
her
Earth.
her parents don't love her as much as we think they do. Okay, let's be honest. That's what I got out of all this. No, I'm just kidding. But no. But that's yeah. Hey, that's great that you have that. I mean, for some reason, people are getting a lot of tattoos on their arms too, especially or like their biceps. Really, too. That's one thing that's really been taken off. Like I have a lot of friends that do that too. So I'm still waiting for that one person to do like one of those where like as you flex, like it makes the thing move or something like that. It's like I want to do one.
Yeah,
I want to do
not
one like
not
cool thing
too
like
much.
that. Yeah, like I want to have one where like someone's like eating something or whatever like that. Yeah, but no one's come on with that yet. So I'm waiting patiently for that to happen. But I mean, two of the things that I love to also talk about, like we talked about before, I mean, cardio. It's the bane of my existence. I hate it more than life itself. And when I say cardio, I mean like actual running. I mean, I could like for me, I go on a treadmill for like 80 minutes and just walk. That's totally fine with me. But bike rides for me, or that's my cardio. But now that it's getting warmer, I can finally start to do it in a couple of weeks. But during the winter, it's like good luck doing that. But what is your relationship like with cardio? Because like I know you said that you do it and stuff, but like, is there anything that you do to help distract yourself? Because like for me, if I don't have a movie playing, I'm not getting on that treadmill.
Okay, so it depends on what cardio equipment that I am on. So with running, I will not run on the treadmill. Absolutely not. I actually used to run like 5Ks and 10Ks and quit that real quick.
That's a
I
form of
did
a
get
mental disorder. Everyone, she needs the help.
yeah, so I mean, they're like, "Oh yeah, do it for the chocolate after, do it for the beer after," and I'm like, "I'm still not eating all that stuff after." So I don't know what I did it for. The medals and the shirts were cool, but no, not a runner. If I am on the stairmaster, I'm not gonna lie, I do cheat a little bit because I do like hang on that like one way. So you're right. Movies, TV shows, usually a TV show. Um, and then if I am on the bike, I will keep busy by like Instagram does like, oh, ask me all these questions. So like that's literally what I did this morning is I answered questions. Oh, how was your first show? How are you gonna go ahead and do the second show. What are your carbs? Whatever. So I literally just keep busy with questions, or usually it's a TV show, not too many movies because movies are predictable. I'm not a big movie person. And everybody's like, "Are you kidding
I
me?" And
got
I'm
a
like,
couple
"No."
unpredictable movies I could recommend for you, but yeah, but that's for me too. Yeah, it's like if I don't have anything to watch, yeah, there's no way I'm doing that. But also, I mean, the most important thing in this lifestyle, I don't care what anyone says, is sleep. And for anyone that disagrees with me on that, I always tell them pull all nighter and then go and work out, and then tell me how that worked out for you. I did that twice in college,
No,
and
absolutely.
both times I lasted halfway through and I just said, screw this, I'm done. But like you said, you like to get up early and, so what does your sleep schedule look like? Because I mean, I've had some of those freaks on this podcast that, can function off of 4 hours of sleep. And then I've had the other ones that, they need like 10, but where do you fall on that spectrum?
So no, like I'm good at 7. So like that's 7, I'll go to sleep at like 10:30, 11, wake up at 5, but then once again I get that like little hour nap. So I mean, usually if I am not falling asleep at like 10:30 or 11, but like I don't take pre-workout for my cardio. I know a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, I need to wake up." Like, nope, you don't get your pre-workout until your workout. Like I will only take 1 scoop of pre-workout. I don't really like the jitters, but no, 100% sleep makes a huge difference. So on Sundays I actually get to sleep in. So I actually got to sleep in till like 7:30 or 8, and I hit a new low. So that just shows, sleep is huge.
Wow, 7:30. I mean, are you just having the time of your life getting able to sleep in till that?
Yeah,
Jeez, I
I
mean.
know, I know. That's like everybody's like, "Wait, are you kidding me?" But
That's
no,
vacation.
Sunday's
That's
my
vacation
only
mode.
day.
7:30. Are you kidding? No, but please don't tell me you're like one of my friends where you do this. You do the pre-workout straight up. You don't even have anything to drink with it.
I used to. I used to dry scoop, but now I want to like savor the flavor. So my pre-workout's like mango lime, and I'm like, no, I want to drink that. I don't want to have it for 2 seconds.
At least you're not like one of my buddies in the collegers who we do two scoops without anything, and then he just have a beer just to chug it down. Basically, then
See,
that was
but
his
like no,
pre-workout.
like I need water. Like if
Yeah.
I'm dry scooping, like I'll do a dry scoop, but I need water after. Some people like literally just dry scoop, they
Yep.
don't need any liquid, and I'm like, I tried that, came out my nose, and I'm like, never
That's just
again.
like me with
I
chasers.
will.
That's just like me with chasers. I've never chased in my life. I just drink it. I just drink the hard stuff. I just let it go down. None of that wussy. None of that wussy Coca-Cola or Pepsi or anything like that to help smooth it down. You got to go big, or you go home. But two of the questions that I love to ask before we wrap things up here. I mean, if someone were to walk up to you and say, Elizabeth, we made a decision. You can change one thing about the sport of bodybuilding, and everyone would go along with it. What would be one thing that you'd like to see changed?
Oh, that's really hard. So since I'm such like a newbie, like people are like, "Oh, give me some advice," and I'm like, I was like, I still need advice from some people, but I mean, I don't. As much as I hate to say, I don't know.
Well, I should say you brought up a good point because so many people after they compete in one show, they think that they're the know all end all for like bodybuilding, and they're like, "I know everything now. Let me give you all my info." And it's like you competed in one show. Like, just calm down. That's
Oh,
one thing that when I see
yeah.
like people's Instagram
So
profile, they're like, "Yeah, I competed once, so that means buy my workout plans, buy my DVDs, or buy my workout app." And it's like, come on, like
no, like
seriously,
I'll
yeah.
be fully transparent. Like I'm still, like I said, like I'm still a newbie. There are so many people in like my DMs, like, "Oh, like give me some advice," da da da. And I'm like, I
Find
don't
someone
have
more
any advice
experienced.
from
That's
you.
my advice.
Yeah, literally. I was like, I'm only going on my second show right now, and I'm still like, what's going on here? But like, as far as anything off the top of my head to change anything, I mean, I feel like it evolves like every single year. I've noticed that, and I just know that it is like around like the overall look. Um, but I mean, yeah, I still need so much. So like, I still have so many years on me, and like, I don't even know after this show in 6 days if I'm gonna do another show. Like, I don't want to travel in Illinois. The the earliest one is in I think August, and I'm like, I don't want to be prepping until August again. I don't know.
You
So
gotta
I'm
get that
trying to
summer
just
bod ready. What are you
ballpark.
talking about?
Okay, that's true. Everybody's like, why would you prep in the winter? And I'm like, I want to be set for summer. So I mean, it literally just kind of goes hand in hand.
Hey, if we're all supposed to be good by the 4th of July, I mean, everyone's got to have those abs ready, and they got to have that beach bod ready. So I'm gonna be starting working on it. And
Absolutely.
April 1st is my first. I know everyone's gonna be like, no, he's April Foolsing us, and I was like, no,
Literally.
it's actually gonna happen then. No, I got a separate thing planned for April Fools for everyone on this podcast, but I'm not gonna reveal it yet. So but no, that's yeah, that is great. And I mean, so actually being from Illinois, in the history guy that I am, have you ever heard of the Cahokia Mounds?
One more time, Ryan.
Cahokia
No, I have
Mounds.
no idea.
It's the
No.
largest Native American settlement that was like, it was the size of London, like in the 1500s. It was like a huge city, and it's in Illinois, and they still have like the mounds from it. So I'm going to go visit it one of these days. That's just a huge, I mean, I've been to Chicago like a dozen times, just like everyone from the Midwest has
Yeah,
been to
right.
Chicago, but yeah, I haven't been to that. And yeah, so that, I just thought I'd mention that out there, but hey, it's one of those things that I plan on doing, but also, I mean, if we were to talk to a year from today, where would you like to be at in your bodybuilding journey? Where would you like to be at just in your overall life? What are some goals that you would like to have achieved if we were to talk to a year from today?
A year? Somebody just asked me 5 years, so that's a year. Um, I mean, like I said, in a sense, when I first started this, like, I had no intention of like, "Oh, yeah, I want my pro card, I want my pro card." But after my first show and winning an overall and stuff, and I'm like, oh, obviously that show was so small compared to the one that I will be competing in 6 days. I think I'm competing against like 50 plus people, but I'm getting a lot of good feedback. They're like, you have a passion for the sport, like follow through with it, see what you can do for bikini. My opposing coach, she's a judge in Illinois, and she's like, Beth, you could really branch off to, you know, figure or wellness. You're going to have to take a decent of time off, but you could branch wherever you want. But a lot of people are like, stay in bikini, see where you could go with that. So as far as in a year of just bodybuilding alone, I'll probably take a good off season and kill it in bikini, get those pro glutes. And, as far as I don't want to live in Illinois in a year, so hopefully that is the case. I would like to move to a warmer state, Florida or Arizona. So basically just those two. Maybe move out of Illinois and, as far as bodybuilding, go
Don't
off
move
in
to either.
bikini.
Arizona, you like 110 degrees?
Mhm.
What? What is wrong with you?
Yes, 100. Yes, I want to be in a bikini all year round, tank tops and shorts all the
I
time.
mean,
Like that
gasping
is
for
like
air if you want. I mean,
sun.
if you love, and then let's be honest, Florida is America's butthole. I mean, everyone, just don't go there.
Everybody goes there.
Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's like everybody's vacation spot. But no,
yeah.
like I think it'd be dope to literally go outside, hike a mountain. Like I went to Arizona twice, and I have not
And then get
hiked a
attacked by a
mountain.
crocodile.
See, like I would be honored to do that.
She died. She
But
died a hero's death. Then, in her opinion, they had just getting eaten by a crocodile. No, but that's yeah. But no, that's yeah. But that's
yeah.
believe me, every winter I consider myself like, why do I still live here? But then the only problem is that the summers here are so great that they kind of make you forget about the winters just for a little bit.
See, but only for like 3 months in Illinois. And I'm like, I want the other 9 months to be very enjoyable. So,
But I'm one of those people where it's like it's not Christmas for me with like snow and stuff like that. So it's like that's the one thing that really kind of.
see,
But
no, like
after
I'm
after Christmas and
okay.
New Year's, then I'm like, okay, yeah, then the snow can melt now.
See, yeah, like I'm okay with no snow at all. Like I hate that slush, the sleet, the ice. I hate winter so much. Everybody knows that I hate the cold.
You're telling me you didn't enjoy like I did a month ago and it was -35, where literally for a whole week I couldn't even drive my car because the gas had frozen solid?
Oh my god. So you went through that. I went through that, I don't know, when it was like feels like negative
That was when no,
60
that was when
or
Texas
whatever.
that was when Texas was getting hit too, except up here it was like -35 in Minnesota.
Yeah, see, like I only left to go to the gym and that's it. I was like, somebody please go buy my groceries. I only have to go to the gym. That's it.
Yep, for a month straight I couldn't even leave my house. I tried to start my car, wouldn't even start. Yeah. And then finally it warmed up a little bit. It warmed up to like 0 degrees where the gas could slowly unfreeze itself. So yeah, that was.
See, why does anybody want to go through that? No, like why
What are you
even
talking
put
about? That's
yourself
a
in that
week That's a
situation?
week vacation. If it would have been normal time, that would have been a week where like literally I could tell my boss, be like, "Hey, I'm not coming in today. My car won't start. So sorry, screw you." Yeah. So I mean, but yeah, I always gotta come up with the positives for everything. But lastly, I
You're
mean,
absolutely
let's
right.
be honest, you're not the average looking 23-year-old woman, especially the way that you look right now as you're getting ready for a show. So what has that experience been like? Because I always compare being a bodybuilder to sort of being like a mini celebrity when you walk out in public. Now, unfortunately, with like the mask and being in Illinois, you were covered up probably a little bit more. But what is that reaction like that you get? Because I mean, it's people whenever they see something that's like not of their normal, they're sort of somewhat fascinated by it. And I do got to point out that I mean, there is a difference between a bikini competitor and let's say if you were a physique competitor, then you probably get a lot more attention. But still, you are in a lot better shape than the average 23-year-old woman. So what is that, whole sort of journey been like for you just with that attention that it comes with this sport?
So, like I said, if I am in Illinois, I am bundled up in my sweatpants and my hoodie. But as far as my gym, I've been working at my gym for almost 4 years now. And so a lot of my members and clients, like they seen this transformation. They're like, oh my God, like, what are you doing? You're so leaned out, you're shredded. And I'm like, please don't call me shredded because I'm not supposed to be shredded for bikini. But
You're
they're
looking
like,
yoked
I
and
could
jacked, Elizabeth. Holy crap.
we're trying. But no, like a lot of the members, they're like, you are doing fantastic. And a lot of people on social media, my social media has grown a ton, thank you. But I get a lot of DMs and they're like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're great. Like you're gonna bring this a great physique to your next show. And yes, I'm putting in the work, but I am gonna give, a lot of credit to my coach as well, because I couldn't do any of it without my coach from Bear Aesthetics, Dylan. So thank you, Dylan. But no, I'm getting a lot of, they're like, oh my God, you look great. And it is like crazy. Like I look at myself every day. Like I'm like, I don't see the changes. And that's just the mental in you. And it's like, okay. And everybody's like, zip it. You look great. Let's keep doing what you're doing. But a lot of people, when I go to this Natty O show, they're like, I can't wait to take pictures with you. Like, I'm so excited to meet you. And I'm like, as bad as it sounds, it's like I do kind of feel like a mini celebrity because everybody's like, "You just won an overall for your first show. Oh my god, like your like determination and everything, like it's awesome." Da da da. But no, it is crazy how many people say like you look great.
Yeah, and well, for anyone out there, if she says she doesn't like being called shredded because she's like it's the wrong category. If you ever want to light a fire underneath her butt, here's what you do. And if she's ever giving you a hard time, if you're a friend or someone at her gym, this is the one thing that I do to bodybuilders. That I mean, it screws with their mind, and you're gonna get like them just really confused. Here's what you do: you walk up to them, don't even acknowledge that they're there, but then you just walk up to them and you just whisper to them, looking a little small today, and then you just turn and walk away. You don't even wait for a response. You just turn and walk away. You will mind f them so badly that like literally, so anyone, if she's ever giving you a hard time, just do what I'm doing. Just do what I told you to do, and it will work. She'll be
Uh huh.
she'll be like, what? I'm like, what? Like what? No, but that's hilarious. But I
No,
was
you're absolutely right, Ryan.
but I was gonna ask you, who, if anyone you'd like to give a shout out to, but you already gave a shout out to your coach and your family, so I'll leave that be. But again, you guys, everyone, go and give her a follow. I'll leave a link to her Instagram page down below. And, buyer beware. You will get inspired to go out and, get in shape and get off that couch and stop eating those Twinkies. And, again, you guys, Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. I really, really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Ryan. Once again, I appreciate you for having me on. It was a great time. Thank you. Thank you.
I mean, as hard of a time as I heard, getting some words out with her Chicago accent, I might have to add subtitles down below, but hey, it's the perks of, running this podcast, I guess. But again, you guys know I'm just kidding. But again, you guys, Elizabeth, we couldn't thank you enough. And this is Ryan Johnson, DD on the spot, signing out. Have a great day, everyone.